by Bloomberg. Breakbone fever is the world's most pernicious mosquito-borne virus, afflicting as many as 400 million people a year, making the latest setback in the effort to stop the dengue scourge all the more frustrating. The vaccine Sanofi spent more than 2 decades and €1.5 billion, $1.8 billion, developing should only be given to people who have already been infected with the virus pending a full safety review, the World Health Organization said last month. That's raising the stakes for vaccine candidates from Takeda Pharmaceutical Co. and the U.S. National Institutes of Health. Both products are in end-stage clinical trials, and aim to avoid the problems that caused Sanofi to cut the value of its vaccine inventory last month. People who have never had dengue before being immunized with the Paris-based company's Denvaxia shot had a greater risk of developing severe disease if they were later infected naturally, an analysis of 6 years of data showed. It's a real fly in the ointment for everything that's ahead, said Cameron Simmons, a professor of microbiology and immunology at the University of Melbourne, who was involved in early Denvaxia research and studies dengue at the Peter Doherty Institute for Infection and Immunity. The next generation of vaccines is going to take longer. The hoops to demonstrate safety are going to be more stringent. Growing threat besides Denvaxia, which is approved for use in 19 countries, there are no other licensed vaccines or specific medicines to fight dengue, and efforts to control its mosquito vector haven't stopped the virus extending its reach from the tropics of Asia and the Americas to southern France and Madeira, Portugal. Almost 400 million infections occur worldwide annually, Simmons and colleagues estimated in 2013, and there's been a 30-fold increase in the number of cases over the past 50 years, according to the WHO. We recently received disappointing clinical news on Denvaxia, which will constrain the outlook for the vaccine, Sanofi's chief executive officer Olivier Brandicourt told analysts last week. Dengue is caused by one of 4 distinct strains, or serotypes, of dengue virus which typically cause a sudden onset of fever, as well as headache, rash and muscle aches and pains so severe that the disease is known as breakbone fever. In a small subset of cases, sufferers can develop potentially fatal bleeding and shock. Severe dengue is thought to occur more frequently from subsequent infections caused by a serotype different from the one that caused the initial illness, due to a phenomenon known as antibody-dependent enhancement. A similar pattern may occur in some vaccinated people, researchers Scott Halstead and Philip K. Russell wrote in a review paper last year. Denvaxia, which is administered in a 3-shot regimen over 12 months, is a so-called chimeric vaccine that uses components of all 4 dengue serotypes on a yellow fever vaccine backbone. Takeda's experimental 2-shot immunization uses a dengue serotype 2 backbone on which components of the 3 other serotypes are attached. Better protection?